all of us are Arjuns, caught in their own flesh, in their blood, in their tears, in their emotions, in their past. And being caught, we forget what our dharma is. As long as Arjun lives within us, we will continue to need Krishna. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is immortal.
One of the things that has been really relevant is post-COVID, we see a lot of violent crimes that have happened. I'm speaking in one sense in the United States as well, where we had a classroom. We had a classroom of students a school of students, that were shot, and a gunman came in and killed many people, many kids included. And there are also cases post-COVID of a lot of violent crimes that have happened. People just, whether it be celebrities in India, where we saw recent music artists being murdered. It becomes difficult to make sense of a human being coming to such, if we had to speak in Indian Sanskrit terms, asuri, rakshasi, mindsets. And then, how would one make sense of something like this? How does one make sense of this?
See, these are just tales of the times. These are telltale signs of the age we are in. And these are beautiful weapons, no? So sophisticated, so alluring. Once you have them in your hand, you feel like using them. And then there are these video games that are simulating those weapons to a fault. You play that game, and an exact replica of, let's say, an AK-47 is there. The sound when it is loaded, the sound when it is fired are exact simulations. And you're doing that all the time. 6 hours a day you are playing that game, we are just firing that weapon. And then you're in a society like the States, where weapons are so readily available over the counter. Now, what then stops you from trying out the real experience of firing at people? Obviously, not everybody would do that. But even if 1 in 500 turns a maniac, the damage is just too much to bear, is it not? And given the oppressive circumstances and the abundant availability of weapons, 1 in 500 is very likely. In fact, it's surprising how we are not seeing more dastardly crimes of that kind. We have had a recent case in India, in Lucknow, similar to the one that you are narrating, except that thankfully the casualty count is far lower. A 16-year-old shot dead his mother and kept her bolted, the corpse that is, in her room and partied for 2 full days. And why did he shoot her? Because she was scolding him and preventing him from playing PUBG. So he said, PUBG over everything else. So she was dead. The door was bolted and he partied. And it was on the 3rd day when the stink became just too much to hide that he called up his father, who was posted in another city, and narrated a cock and bull thing. Some fellow came in and shot at my mother. Papa, see what has happened. And then the police came in and took no time in knowing the reality. But that's what is happening, you see. We forget that we are essentially people of the jungle. We just do not know who we are, and that's why Vedanta is so relevant. We do not realize that except for our sharp intellect, everything about us is just animalistic. Our tendencies belong squarely to the jungle. We want to have fun, we want to have good food, we want to have pleasure at any cost. Morality is just an external imposition upon us for the sake of territory, power, food, lust. Will stoop to any kind of degradation. We think we are special. We think just because we belong to a particular species, we are unique. No, we are not. We share so much with the apes and the chimpanzees. All our tendencies are coming from there. And it is to those tendencies that we have gifted the AK-47 or the AN-94, as the case nowadays is. Think of the violent animal who knows nothing but self-gratification. With his paw on the nuclear trigger. That's who we are. The entire nuclear arsenal at our disposal, and internally the jungle tendencies as our master. Think of the human predicament. Spiritual education is the answer.
Yeah, so just continuing off that, one thing that really comes to mind is how impressionable we really are, right? And how our scriptures also speak about the impressions, whether they be as vasanas, whether they be as what they lead to us as karma in our past, in our future lives to come, in our present lives, what we face. And when we see it in children, when such, terrible, drastic things happen at such a young age, in one perspective that I heard was that this might be one of the only eras in human history where the problems a common man is facing are very similar to what a child is facing, whether it be COVID, whether it be mass shootings, whether it be climate change. These are pressing issues that both children are experiencing as well as an adult. My question to that is, how does one, both within themselves as well as a youngster, really come over such drastic events that can be very impressionable at a young age? And what I mean by drastic, I mean in a negative light, that they can become, we see that today where people go through therapy for these very reasons, that, in my past, I was abused, or in my past, this happened, and therefore I'm realizing this is what happens to me today as a result of that. These things are undoubtedly going to affect these children, where parents are saying that this is not the same child I was playing outside with 2 days ago. So how does one overcome such impressionable situations in their life that can be in a mental and in your sthiti of your mind, it could really affect you?
You see, the mind is eager to soak impressions. The mind is like a sponge. It wants to take in something. And that's the very nature of the mind, to take in something. Because the mind is in a constant state of discontentment. So its impressionability will remain. One cannot wish it away. What's of importance is subjecting the mind to the right impressions. Give it the right dose of the right thing. Else it will absorb random stuff from all places, mostly obnoxious places. The mind needs education first of all. The mind needs to have right knowledge. Because it is in its concepts that the mind suffers. Therefore, the mind needs to be subjected to right concepts. The mind needs to have a philosophical training. And I'm not talking of something too heavy to be practical. I'm talking of the barest necessity that the mind has, the child has. Give it the right stuff to think about. Expose it to the very genesis of thought itself. Where does thought come from? Where do all ideas and instincts and feelings come from? And that's when the mind will no more be very eager to absorb any random thing from anywhere. See, it's like this. You do not give the right and nutritious food to the kid at home. And then you cannot complain that the kid goes out and keeps dodging unhealthy fast food from here and there. Because you are failing your role in quenching the child's appetite. That's the reason the child, in his vulnerability, is just accepting whatever he gets. It's a child's helplessness. And if, as you said very interestingly, that the problems that the kids face and the adults face have converged to a large extent in this century, it tells us insightfully of what is happening. What is happening is that we are not growing up. And that's the reason we continue to face challenges that kids face. Adults should definitely face problems. Adults should definitely pick up challenges. But those should be adult challenges. Life is an unending series of problems, and joy lies in responding fearlessly and wisely to those problems. But the problems too must grow up as you do. If at age 35, you are facing the same problems as you did at age 15, then this is a serious problem. No? And you look at people, are their problems really growing up? When the fellow was 15 and writing his high school exams, he was worried about the numbers he would get. Now this fellow is 45 and a CFO somewhere or a CMO somewhere. He is still worried about the numbers he would get on the profit and loss statement. He was competitive and jealous at that time. He is competitive, jealous and insecure even at 45. He didn't know what was worth doing at 15, he doesn't know what's worth doing at 45. He measured his self worth against numbers. Then he does the same thing now. Do we grow up? He was a slave to his bodily instincts, then he is equally a slave even today. He could not survive without being associated with another body then. Other bodies are equally important or even more important to him today. What has changed? Nothing will change. True growth cannot come just with age or experience. One requires a special education. The education that we have today can give us a lot of knowledge, but not inner growth. You will have 70-year-olds with the instincts of a 5-year-old. You will have the richest people in the world actually just inwardly being bloated kids. You look at their actions, you look at their faces, you look at their eyes, you look at their intentions, and you will see a 5-year-old. And that's very, very dangerous, because a 5-year-old does not have tremendous worldly resources at his disposal. A 5-year-old cannot make rockets that fly to other planets. But at 45 you can do that. You can even have ICBMs at your command. Do you see how dangerously placed are we? We are kids with tremendous power to wreak havoc. Lot of resources, lot of technology, very little wisdom.